AI now writes 75% of Google's new code. So explain this. When developers actually used AI to do their real jobs, they got 19% slower. Both are true, and that's where this story gets weird.
Okay, let's jump straight into it, because if you've been paying even a little bit of attention to the tech space lately, you know something seismic is shifting right under our feet. Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're doing a deep dive, really breaking down what's actually happening to software engineering as AI fundamentally rewrites the rules of the entire industry. And look, we're not just talking about some neat new plugin or a shiny new tool here. We're talking about a massive structural upheaval in how the digital world gets built. Before we even get into the data, take a quick second and think about your own job, your own industry. Whatever field you're in, the mechanics of how value is created are being challenged right now. Software engineering? It's just the canary in the coal mine.
So let's start with a really massive number from October 2024. During an earnings call, Sundar Pichai casually announced that over a quarter, 25% of Google's new code is now generated by AI. It's generated and then it's reviewed and accepted by human engineers. Just think about the sheer scale of that for a second. Google maintains one of the largest continuous code bases in human history. We're talking billions of lines of code. 25% of new code at that scale? That means millions of lines of machine-generated text are being pumped into the system every single week. It's literally an absolute fire hose of output, all being funneled toward an exit where essentially there's just one tired human reviewer standing there with a cup of coffee trying to make sure it all actually works and doesn't, break the internet.
To make sense of all this explainer is unpacking a seriously brilliant source article. He basically treats this entire AI revolution like a stage play, complete with wild plot twists, delusional developers, and this looming existential crisis about the future of knowledge work. Kalat went out and collected earnings calls, randomized trials, layoff memos, government checkboxes, the whole shebang, and laid them all out chronologically. And what emerges is kind of an accidental comedy of errors, where everyone is inadvertently arguing with each other. Execs want speed, developers are drowning in bugs, and the AI is just happily typing away. So grab your popcorn, because we're going to walk through these acts together.
Act 1. The AI coding boom. The mandate to double output.
Right now, we're seeing executives across the tech landscape pushing this massive mandate for AI-driven productivity. And a lot of times, they don't fully understand the ground-level mechanics of what that actually means for their teams. You've got leaders at frontier AI labs, like Anthropic's Dario Amodei, predicting near-total automation of coding, suggesting AI could be writing 90% of code within months. And meanwhile, out in the mid-market, companies are definitely not waiting around for the philosophy to catch up. They are completely rewriting internal targets today. They've stopped saying, let's improve, and started saying, double. As in, demanding developers double their merge pull requests simply because they now have AI at their fingertips. Ask yourself, how would you feel if your boss walked in tomorrow and demanded you literally double your daily output just because you got access to ChatGPT? It's perfectly setting the stage for a massive collision between expectations and reality.
Act 2. The Reviewer Bottleneck. The illusion of speed.
And here's where we hit our first major snag. The plot twist literally nobody invited. A gold standard randomized controlled trial by Metric took 16 experienced developers and tested them on real-world tasks. Before the test, the developers predicted AI would make them about 24% faster. But a stopwatch proved they were actually 19% slower. Just sit with that massive 39-point delusion gap for a second. It highlights a really critical blind spot in human psychology when we use these tools. See, because the AI generates text instantly, the developer feels incredibly fast. The words are just flying onto the screen. But when they actually have to go back and untangle all the subtle structural mistakes the AI made just to get the code to successfully compile, well, it burns way more time than if they had just written it themselves from scratch.
So the reality on the ground is pretty stark. Sure, ship rates doubled across the industry, but so did the bugs and the code churn. The fundamental nature of software engineering changed almost overnight. The job quietly stopped being build things and became continuously judge things you didn't build. Builders have essentially been transformed into exhausted, continuous referees for complex AI code that they barely have the context to understand. Think about how creatively draining that is. Instead of crafting an elegant solution yourself, you're just grading someone else's deeply flawed homework, 8 hours a day, forever.
Act 3. The Silent Janitors. What AI ignores at 2 a.m.
Okay, so what exactly is going wrong with the AI-generated code behind the scenes? Why is it slowing everyone down? Well, a fascinating study out of Queen's University looked at thousands of AI agent pull requests and found a glaring blind spot: logging. Now, logging is vital structural scaffolding. It's how developers know what went wrong when a system crashes. AI agents are terrible at it. Even when humans explicitly ask for logging, the AI simply ignores the request 67% of the time. This forces human engineers to act as what they call silent janitors, who just quietly go in and fix the infrastructure after the fact, so the whole system doesn't fail silently. And the real kicker? The AI gets to clock out in a matter of milliseconds, completely oblivious to its mistakes, while the human developer is left holding the digital mop at 2 a.m. trying to figure out why the production servers are on fire.
Because human review of this massive AI output is failing structurally, a whole new camp of researchers has emerged. Martin Momperis from KTH argues that the human reviewer is already completely obsolete. He literally calls human review theater. And honestly, if you look at the mechanics, it makes sense why it's mathematically doomed. A highly focused human can maybe read and deeply comprehend a few hundred lines of complex code changes in a day. An AI agent? It can generate tens of thousands of lines in an hour. You just cannot physically scale human eyeballs to match machine output. His solution is wild but logical. Take the human out of the loop entirely. Replace the human reviewer with an ensemble of AI agents checking each other's work.
Act 4. The Layoff Reality. Reading between the lines. Now, this theoretical debate builds a direct bridge from the daily grind of code review to the macroeconomic reality of tech layoffs we've all been seeing in the headlines. Experts like Arvind Narayan point out that knowledge work broadly consists of 3 layers: decide, execute, and deliver. AI handles that middle layer, the execution of code, the typing out of syntax, beautifully, which means companies need far fewer people to actually sit and write scripts. The remaining humans are getting pushed out of execution entirely, forced up into deciding what needs to be built, and then taking accountability for delivering it to the client. Take a look at your own job right now. Are you spending most of your time deciding, executing, or delivering? Because if your job is entirely in the execute layer, this framework suggests that layer is rapidly compressing.
The macroeconomic indicators are definitely flashing red. The International Monetary Fund isn't mincing words anymore. IMF Chief Kristalina Georgieva recently moved past gentle academic terms like exposure to warn of a literal job tsunami. A tsunami specifically targeting entry-level and clerical work across advanced economies. The easy tickets, the routine data entry, the boilerplate code, it's all being swallowed by the machine at an unprecedented scale.
Act 5. The Broken Apprenticeship. Who is actually learning? Which brings us to a terrifying structural flaw. If the entry-level execution jobs vanish, how exactly do junior developers learn the complex, undocumented context required to ever become senior developers? The data here is incredibly concerning. An Anthropic study ran a randomized trial on junior engineers learning a brand new coding library. The group that used AI scored 17% lower on comprehension quizzes compared to the control group that was forced to just read the documentation themselves. But here's the most fascinating, deeply ironic paradox of the whole study. The single largest gap in the AI group's skills was debugging. The AI is robbing junior developers of the exact specific skill they absolutely must have to supervise, referee, and fix the AI later in their careers.
Software engineering has always been an apprenticeship. You break something small. You get roasted in code review by someone way smarter than you. You learn from the mistake. You repeat the process, and eventually, after years of this cycle, you become the senior expert doing the roasting. By automating all the small, easy tickets to save a few bucks on the balance sheet today, the tech industry has quietly dismantled the exact pipeline that manufactures its future experts. We are literally burning our seed corn.
Finally, Act 6, the final handoff. Hardware, timelines, and liability.
We have to understand how this all builds toward a total structural shift that is being driven not just by software, but by plummeting hardware economics. You really can't separate the software from the silicon here. NVIDIA's newest architecture claims a massive 10 times reduction in inference cost per token compared to their last generation. This is the domino effect in action. Historically, whenever compute power gets this cheap and ubiquitous, think of Moore's Law putting a PC on every desk, or AWS making cloud computing the default, massive, structural industry changes follow immediately. The price of AI labor is absolutely cratering, while human labor remains just as expensive and just as slow as ever. When machine intelligence becomes virtually free, the timeline for automation accelerates dramatically.
Based on these staggering economics, the source article outlines a rapid, aggressive timeline. Just imagine where you and your career are going to be in just 2 years. In that short window, AI agents become the standard, normal way to handle all non-critical code. Now fast forward to 5 years. Junior hiring and routine white-collar knowledge work takes a serious, permanent hit because the execution layer is entirely handled by agents. Now imagine walking into your office 10 years from now. By then, entire software delivery chains will have become AI first, leaving human beings with only one true remaining function in the entire corporate loop. In that function, it's liability.
This is the last lock on the door. A model can be brilliant, it can write flawless code faster than you can blink, but it cannot sign a mortgage, it cannot legally approve a massive financial trade, and it absolutely cannot go to jail. You can't fire a weights file, and you certainly can't put a neural network on a witness stand. Human liability, human accountability, and the legal requirement for a human to carry the risk, that becomes our final unautomatable moat.
Which brings us to the end of our explainer. We're going to leave you with this final profound question that the author circles back to. In a rapidly approaching world where intelligence, computation, and execution are no longer scarce resources, what exactly gives our work meaning? If the machine can do everything better, what is a human for? It's a really heavy question we're all going to have to answer, and probably much sooner than we think. But hey, understanding the map is the first step to navigating the territory, and you're already ahead of the curve. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the source material. Stay curious, stay sharp, and we will catch you on the next one.